Really? You don't know what a furry is? Oh my god. So I'm never saying anything out loud again. Okay, you really don't know what a furry is? I'm pretty sure I know what it is, I just don't remember.
So we're going to spend 15 minutes getting reoriented with Furbies. I'm going to start this exercise. All right. Before we start the next activity, any questions on constructor classes? Any opinions? I've already installed the biasness, and you guys.
I think you're right.
All right. Any other? Are we good? Okay. So you can tell from the instructions I didn't write this activity. I would have chosen something different. But it's kind of similar thing that we did for the character. This time you're going to create a constructor called digital pal. Okay. It has some properties. You're going to create some properties for those for the digital pal constructor, and then it's going to have some methods. Feed, sleep, play, increase, age. All right. So let's see, 4 properties, 4 functions. All right, and then once you are done with that, you're going to create objects from those from that constructor. All right, you will notice that some of the properties, some of the functions that you're going to create initially inside the constructor do not exist, so you will be creating them outside the constructor as well. Okay, so you're going to create with some initial blueprint. You're going to have these 4 functions, some properties, and then as you read through the instructions, you will see that some of the functions are only associated with some objects. For example, the bark method over here. Hold on, let me see. It looks like the stream. Okay, so as you go through, once you complete the first part, all right, the second part, when you're creating these objects, some of these properties and functions only are associated with certain objects. For example, the instructions say create a dog object, okay, but this dog object is going to have a property called outside, bar, go outside, go inside. Okay, if you look up, these functions are not part of your constructor. Right, so you're going to create those new. Don't make it part of the constructor. Remember how we created outside, so go ahead and create those outside the constructor. Okay, so these are kind of new properties that are only associated with the dog object. All right, once you are done with that, you're going to create another object called cat, and there are some different properties and functions associated with that object. Okay, the next part, you're going to console log and make sure all of that functionality is working. Once you are done with this, then take a look at the bonus. The bonus is a little bit more challenging than the previous ones. Even if you get to this point, that's challenging. Bonus is even more challenging. So the bonus says you're going to create object based on the user input. I think Cairo did it. It's kind of similar to that. So you're going to ask the user, and then you're going to create objects based on that. Okay, so start with this one. Create a new constructor. Properties, functions, make sure the functions are working. The first part, and then move on to adding new properties and methods to it. Okay, you have 2 options. The activity says do it the way that you did the constructor, but if you understood the class one, give it a try and see if you can crack this using the class as well, because to me the constructor kind of goes with the class. But if not, do it the same way as you did the character. This is exercise number 4. Tamaguchi. Yes. This sounds funny. So you're going to relive. I don't know, most of you even remember it. Let's see. 1996. Remember it? These are Furbies.
It says uncomfortably long for.
Yeah. Might be a Toy Story.
So you would do it in the day, right? If it's not the if based on the answer here, let's say it's independent. Does that make sense? Like if you're dependent on this answer to decide what you're gonna do, like what your follow-up question is gonna be, then yeah, you can put it inside. That's just something that because you're not gonna get this until this is all done. So that makes sense. Right? Like you're saying you want to ask them a follow-up question. Oh, okay, yeah. So depending on if they answer cat, if you don't want you not available, yeah. Okay, so it doesn't sound like anything would ever require exactly. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Alright, this is something totally related.
Anyone using the class syntax for this exercise? Oh, I like it. Nice. You guys are true backend.
I was hoping to get more excited than that. Did you want to ask me about something else? Like state of local politics? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Fantastic. Think by fantastic, we're all going to die in flames. Doesn't listen too smart. What's your coding music go to? Oh, silence.
Trying to block
You know how
everything on
you
the
don't
table.
want people to talk.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing online? What? Dog is now what? Right. That has all of those properties. Right. But now you're wanting to add some specific properties that are only acceptable to dog. Right. So now once you've created it, you can now access this object. So just the same way you would add a new property to the now you have dog dot whatever you want to call it. Outside is equal to so you have now added a new property to your dog object only. And then same thing with methods, right? So we would add a new function just to our dog object, right? So dog mark function does what? Right. I mean, it's kind of confusing because you're used to saying in instructor, but that's literally all you're doing. It's like saying, hey, I created this one that's going to have all of these shared properties. But now I have to do something. Mind blown. More on the state of the world.
So on top.
Yes.
I heard there's a lot of sense about
This is correct. Yes. It's empty.
So consider set on.
You can do it. And it's part of the new. I think it's hash. So
You can even declare it static. Um,
I've seen static.
yeah. It's an MDN. Let me remember the instructor JavaScript.
Yeah.
See.
And like, I'm actually so
Yeah, so for the static, you can use the keyword static, and then for private, it is hash. Yeah, it's weird. I'm like, what does that even mean? But apparently, that's how you do. Private fields, and then extends is your super subclass in C sharp.
Oh, you can hear it?
Oh yeah, they have everything. Now, again, behind the scene, it's actually just a function, but they have included this in yeah, you can do it. Yeah, there's a super also, super class. Yeah, fancy JavaScript. Yeah, it's getting fancier. And this is part of the new ES6, but we are all on ES6. Yes.
So like, way back, like, 16 years ago,
Okay.
like hiding variables is like never ever ever let.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
So
It's still the
when
same.
are we gonna do that? Are we never doing that?
Oh, in JavaScript, no, that's you make me laugh. No, there's no hiding variables. Dude, there's a var keyword that is global to everything. There's no hiding in JavaScript.
But why do they have a private?
Again, this is to appease programmers like you and I and Mito over here who come from Java or C# background. They're like, hey, we also have something called private, but it's not. Yeah. Yeah, it's all sugars, yeah, on top. There's nothing like that. Why would you hide anything in JavaScript? No. Yeah, so these are
I don't know why we did it in the first place.
right. Again, these things are because they are trying to say that JavaScript is also object-oriented programming. When you talk about object-oriented programming, the key parts are constructor, private, public, static, and all those keywords. So that's why these are included over here. Do they act the same way? Yes. Like if you declare variable private in JavaScript, it should be doing the same. It should serve the same purpose. What you're trying to say. But behind the scene, is that what it is? It's probably not. It's probably they are declaring using LED or something. I don't know what they're doing. But yes, if you declare private, you shouldn't be able to access it outside. You should not be able to access this property outside your class. That's what you say. It says it's an error to reference private fields outside the class. So if you try to access it, access height, saying rectangle dot height, it should give you an error. That's what the document. I haven't tried it, but it should work the same way as it works anywhere else.
You would probably, once you did that, if you bothered to do that, you would need an accessor.
Yes, you will need a getter and setter, and you asked, and that is also there in JavaScript now. They have a getter function here. Let me see where I saw that.
Like all the old stuff that we're using.
Yeah, you just say get before the function name, and that becomes your getter function.
So what if you set it?
Set is I think you just call the function and you pass in a value. I don't think they have a setter. Let's see. Yeah, they don't have like a setter. What they're basically for a setter, you would create a function and pass in a value. That's what. Yeah. For a getter, they have a keyword, but for setter, they don't have. At least I don't see in the documentation. Yeah, for setting, you would just create a function and pass in a value and say, hey, I'm setting something. Right. So they do have these things now in JavaScript. Yeah, it's getting fancier, right? Object-oriented JavaScript. Who would have thought?
Because for me, like the JavaScript, like object, the way it's made, all like the constructor and everything, is like
Yeah.
so it's actually easier to use like
Yeah. Right. Again, have I seen this? I have not seen anyone using in production ready code because again, the people who are writing code in JavaScript are follow the same strategy. They're like, oh, I'm a purist. I'm going to use JavaScript the way it is meant to be, and they don't tend to use it. Again, it's come from the concept because somebody who's doing front end from ever, they are not really exposed to object oriented programming, and some people don't even know what that is. But they're good JavaScript programmers because they have uh, never had a use for it. But these things are for people who have that background and they're trying to come into JavaScript and they're like, hey, I want some order, some organization. So that's what this is for. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Right. In regular, yeah, you wouldn't use this. No. You can. Again, this is for if you already have good exposure, good understanding what object oriented programming means. Otherwise, it doesn't.
sounds like a bad idea. Because if you're older JavaScript people look at your stuff.
Yes, they will get confused. They'll be, what is object oriented? What are you trying to do? Why don't you just create a function and call these things? Yes.
Yeah, I need to keep up with the times.
Need to keep up with the times. There you go. Again, this does not mean that you go and start learning Java or C Sharp just yet. Do what Ethan did. Get a job and get a training on Java, C Sharp, or C++. That's a better way. Right now, focus on JavaScript. Know everything about JavaScript. But it's here. Miro, you seem anxious. I get anxiety when I see this in JavaScript. I'm like, oh, it's so unnatural. It's odd.
I've worked in C Sharp and JavaScript
Yeah.
and Ruby.
Does Ruby has object-oriented programming? Okay.
Yeah, it just so there's more similarities between Ruby and JavaScript
Hmm.
than Java and C Sharp, but it's still
Oh, yeah.
just wow.
Yeah, it is so. Yeah, this is all they're trying to cater to a population that's coming from that background. Behind the scenes, if you read more on it, it's just functions, and they're using the same old JavaScript.
Well, you're on the right track. So what is the in this? So that you start with
list?
Yeah. What do you count?
So are we supposed to be passing as arguments, or do you want it like we type it into the actively running application?
Passing it as an argument. For example, so right now you have two objects now, dog and cats. That's going to stay the same. You're not going to create a new object. What you're going to say is, for dog object, call the function bark. That's the user input. For the cat object, call the function house condition. So from the user, you're asking, what do you want to do with those two objects? So you're not creating a new object. The objects are already there. You are calling those function based on that object. JS. See if we can do this with the class syntax. So a constructor. Start board page. Then let's stub out the functions: feed, sleep, play. So feed, sleep, play, and the last one is increase page. So these are my properties, these are my functions. Then let's say let, what's the first object is dog, new digital how, and I should be able to dog dot sleepy. Okay. try this thing. So put a hashtag. Let's see. Hash sleepy is equal to false. Hash this and then this dot hash. So this becomes a private variable, and this should give me an error. Oh, pretty cool. Oh no. Pass to the pose.
Yeah, so what you do is basically, rather than directly referencing this, you could have to put so that way it doesn't matter. Put in value, that's the value. So you have to pass it back. And then put at least the ones that are on the main constructor, right? You still have to be able to access the specific ones that are just for that. But yeah, or you can do, so it helps if that's yeah. It's honestly, it's not even that pretty basic. You switch on what their answer is, or what the action is. So it's switch case of action, or switch action, and then case equals case is basically so that so switch to say if case is heat, then do this. If case is C, then do this. It's really not that much. Like you just want to pull people back over. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, it's not why I'm going to do it. Sometimes, or sometimes the government says, for this many times or whatever, or this counter is above zero, on the zone. Or you can fill up that four times through the where it says like no, no is gonna break out the code. So yes, yeah. Oh, okay.
So if you're using the class syntax, this is the stubbed out version, and then we can fill the rest of the stuff. But class name, constructor, and then all the functions without the keyword function. But these are all part of this class over here. So let's see if the feed function says if hungry is true, this means so once you feed and if hungry is true, after the animal has been fed, we can set our hungry variable to false and then set the sleepy to true. And then you can console log something saying money. Right, let's go back and see. If hungry is true, print that was yummy, set hungry to false, and then set sleepy to true. If hungry is false, set no thanks, I am full. So let's go back to this. Else, and so log no thanks, I am full. Let's go back here. So I have these 1, 2, 3, 4 properties. Initial values false, false, true, and 0. Then the feed method, if hungry is true, and then do this. Does that like look similar to what you guys have, the feed method? Okay. Let's see. So that's feed. Let's test this out. So dog dot, let's call the feed method and see terminal. No thanks, I'm full and undefined. Why does it have undefined? Oh, because I'm console logging twice. So I can say dog dot feed. Oops. We should take care of that. Okay. So this is coming because which variable is true? This dot hungry is false. So let's go ahead and fix that to is hungry. Oops. Hungry to true, and then I should get the next message as well. Okay. So both cases are working. So we've written and tested out the feed method. Let's look at the sleep one. Sleep is, if sleepy is true, print this. So let me go ahead and copy this. Set sleepy to false, then set board to true. Then run increase age. Okay. Let's go back here. All right, let's see. If this dot sleepy is true, so I'm console logging this. Okay, and then I'm going to set sleepy to false. Oops. Okay, and then this dot board to true. Okay, so this was the easy part, and then we have to call increase age function. So this dot increase age. So right now this doesn't do anything. I'm just going to console log and say increase age increase age method called, and then I'm going to come back and fix it at some later point. Else we have console logging. Let's go back and see what will be console logging. Okay. All right. Does that look what you guys have? Let's go back here and call this dog.sleep. So if I run this now, okay. So the next time if I call this, okay, so this means my sleepy was true. That's why I call all of these methods. So if I set dog.sleepy to false, it should call the other condition. Okay, so the other condition is called if I set this to false. Let me go ahead and minimize these. And the next one was the play method. So kind of similar, setting some of the variables to true and false, and then printing this thing. So I'll skip this. Let's see increase age. This method is called by the sleep method when the digital file goes to sleep and increases the age by 1. Okay. This one is a little bit different, so let me see. Code this one out. Increase age. So you are increasing the age variable by 1. Okay, and console logging. This is what you're going to console log. So I'm going to copy this, put this here. So remove the double quotes. I'm using the string literal. Happy birthday to me, I am. And then we can use our dollar this thing and then this dot age. Is that good? Kind of similar to what you guys have for the increased age. So if I comment this out, it should call the increase age method and then increase the age. Okay, so it was started with 0, now it's 1. So this means this method is working as well. Okay, any questions on this? Did everybody kind of get to this point at least? More is good, but at least this point. Okay. So the only thing, let's see, then you're adding some properties to your dog variable that are not part of that. For example, let's see outside. So that would be over here. So you will say dog.outside is equal to, what was it, false? Okay. Now my dog object has this property as well. Let's try one more. Let's try the function as well. So the function that only exists is, let's try the bark one, and the rest of them are kind of similar. So if you want to create a function that is only assigned to this object, you will say dot bark is equal to function, and then we are console logging go ahead and copy the noise, and this is it. Okay, let's test this out. Now if I should be able to call this function in the next line. Let's see if this works. Okay. So this is how you can add functions that are not part of your constructor, not part of your class, right? This function bark was not part of the class digital pal, but I was able to add this outside and do it. Okay, so similarly, you should have added, what were the methods? Bark, go outside, go inside. Okay, was most of the class able to complete this part, adding outside? Okay, that's good. Then you guys created the second object cat, similar to this one. So you should have done let cat is equal to new digital pal, and cat is created. Did you guys use let or const? Did anybody use const? No, let. Let's try what happens with const. Am I able to still, let's see if this works. Okay, looks like it's still working. The reason I'm not changing this variable, I'm kind of accessing it to the properties, so it seems like this will work. So I'm going to kind of change it to const. Okay, so you guys did the cat one as well, same thing. Cat has some, cat gets the properties and functions that are part of this this class, because cat is object of this class. And then kind of similar to the dog one, you guys should have been able to add house condition, new destroy furniture, buy new furniture, similar to that one. Yes, yes. Yeah, you should. Yeah, because and the reason is I'm not reassigning anything to this object. Right, right, right. So that's why it should be okay. Yeah. If I reassign this, yes, then I cannot use the const one. Okay. All right. Any questions on this? Did you guys get the concept? Did you guys, if you guys solved it through the class one, if I was doing this, I would do it this way, because again, to me, constructor kind of goes in hand with the class, but in JavaScript you can do it without the class as well. But I would recommend, if you guys are using the constructor anywhere, I would highly recommend kind of tying it with the class one. Create the class, then have the functions, then have a constructor inside it, and then do it, versus just doing plain constructor one. All right, any questions? Did that make sense? Kind of how JavaScript is doing it? Again, behind the scenes is just a function. It's all fake. But that's JavaScript. Again, all right, any questions? Good. All right, was anybody able to complete the bonus one? I'm kind of curious to see how you guys did this one. The bonus. Okay, how did you do it? Okay, so you are taking input as a object name, like a dog or a cat, and then calling the function. So how did you do that? How did you call that? For example, what I'm trying to ask is, let's say, buy new furniture, right? This is only associated with a cat object. How did you connect those two?
So the very first question is what animal you want to use.
Yes. Okay.
Later on, it asks questions based off of
So you say cat. So if I want to call buy furniture, right? You have gone to the question and answered that.
How do you connect back to it? How do you know which one to call? Oh, so you have like a switch statement or an if statement where you're saying that this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the that's one of the ways. Any shorter way? Anybody did a shorter way? Okay. Um, uh, what you will see in the solution is that it's creating a object of both. It's kind of creating a high level. Like what it does is it creates something like this, like let animals an object, and then within this object, it's assigning these two objects. So these two objects are kind of part of animals. For example, it is, where's my dog? So it says something like animals dot dog, and then animals dot cat. Okay, this is still okay. Why? Because I have a larger object, and within these two objects I have two more objects, dog and cat, right? I can have an object within an object. So that's what it does. Now what it allows us to do is that if I'm trying to call if I'm trying to access a property within this animals object, now I have two properties, right? I have dog, and then I have cat also, right? Now, how do I access the properties within an object? I use a dot notation, right? You see it comes up, or I can use the square brackets also, right? That's the other way. If I do this, and let's suppose I'm trying to get the user, if I say let animal is equal to process, I'm not using the fancy enquirer, I'm using the simple one, arg v, and I say 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so if I take in from the input, if I get dog or a cat, can I do this? I can, right? Because this will be replaced with whatever comes in as an argument. If it is cat, then my animals object, which is this one, right, contains both dog and cat. So it's going to go ahead and call that, it's going to go and refer to that exact object. Okay, instead of doing animals.cat, you can do this, and this will be replaced with whatever the user types. If they type in cat, this is going to become animals, basically cat, and then this object is a parent object, right? It has dog and cat, so it's going to go ahead and refer to that object. Now, if you want to call a method related to that object, let's say let method is equal to process.argv, my third one. So this is what I'm expecting is that you are running your program saying node .js, and I'm saying cat, and my second parameter is what is a function that is only associated with a cat. Let's see, destroy furniture. Come on. Okay, so these are my two arguments. This is my assumption that I'm going to pass in an object, what I'm trying to, and the function that I'm trying to call. So with this, my method could be, I can say method and then call this method. So again, this is part of this thing. So this is basically you are trying to say animals dot cat dot destroy furniture. Kind of getting complicated, but this is what you're trying to do. But the thing with us is that we are taking these two from the user, so we don't know if they're going to say cat or dog. If they say dog, so basically this is translating to dog. Let's see one of the method that only belongs to the dog. Go outside. see with this. So the line number 62 is kind of translating to these two functions, whatever the user types in. But this is more generic because you are expecting the user to give you something back. For example, the name of the object and the method, and then you take in this method destroy furniture, and then add these parentheses is going to call that method belonging to that object. Again, this was the bonus. I know it's a little bit complicated. I'm going to leave at this point at least. I will post the solution. You will see the solution inside that. Take a look at it, console log, and see what this is happening. If you still have questions on Tuesday, let me know and we can answer that. But what I want you guys to go is, once you get to this point, think about it, console log, and see what's happening. It would be easier for me to explain again once you have kind of experienced what's going on with this. But even before that, this is how you do classes and constructors. That's all. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Tuesday, and we'll be creating more activities using constructors and classes. All right? All right, have a good rest of the weekend. I'll see you guys on Tuesday.